You can hide. All right, and it appears we are live. What's up, everybody? It's G Mr. Drew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Glowczewski Experience. This is going to be episode 127. I'm going to work on some character concept art as I do on Wednesdays normally. And just as I was discussing recently, how I like finishing these pages so I can move on and I can kind of call them quits, and then they just become another memory of like, okay, this is something I worked on, and then, this finishing a page and having it filled out kind of just says, okay, you're done here, move on. If I ever leave a page unfinished, you better believe it's a thorn in my side. So keeping up with that, and this character that I started working on, when was this? In March 24th. So over a month ago, I started working on this character, and throughout that, over the past month, I've worked on a bunch of different concepts for him, and most recently was this one where I introduced, like, he has this little sidekick character, and just like this character doesn't play the biggest role. You got to imagine the little sidekick character plays even lesser of a role, but they're kind of a package deal. Um, so I since I'm kind of out of ideas for the main character of here, like the monster type here, I thought it may be best for me to do just a final goodbye, with working on just a side character who really I just need to get like one little piece out. Like even this right here kind of tells me enough of what I need to know. But why not push it just one step further? Because I did have a character in mind when I was thinking about him, like a reference or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Not reference, but inspiration. A character that inspired me for the look of this character. There's a couple of them actually. One of them a little more obvious in this little preview here. But I had another character. And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's something like that. And then let me go look them up. And I looked them up, and I was like, oh, this character is not what I remember them to be. And then I had to start pulling even more and more and more deeper into like, where the hell am I getting these ideas from? Because it wasn't from the character that I thought it was. And I just got done doing that research, and yeah, I was just like, you know what? Let me just put one drawing down, and it'll be of the sidekick character here. And this is definitely going to be the piece that's going to like just let me move on from here and say, okay, I'm good. I'm done with the concept art for this piece, or for this character at least, and I'll be able to move on. So I think it's funny how everything aligns like that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I have some references sitting here in front of me, and it's actually interesting how how deep I had to go in order to pull these references, because I was like, what, where is my mind thinking? Because it goes all the way back to my childhood, and it was like, where, and I don't know. I would have to look up the actual years of the release of these shows and movies, but in order to know, I want to say it was like early to mid '90s that my brain was thinking about, and I just had to go back and like really navigate my thoughts to those things. And yeah, I got some good references, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna draw this character, and then I'm move on. And anytime I ever think of this character, I'm always gonna think of these references. And now that I know what they are exactly, I'll um, I'll certainly know what to do once I actually get to character artwork or character boards and things like that. And because again, this is all just concept work, not to be confused with character board work. So let me adjust this camera. Also, with that out of the way, I also really don't have much to talk about. Again, really, I just come on to these things and I start drawing. I imagine people probably just turn the volume all the way down and watch it or something like that if they watch it. Um, but I have my videos playing in the background. I have the Joe Budden podcast playing in the background, and is actually kind of interesting right now because there's the he has his original co-host back onto the channel. It's been maybe about a month. Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. So it's been maybe about a month since him and his co-host, for whatever reason, I'm probably talked about it. For whatever reason, his co-host just didn't show up for an episode one day, and you know, this being a podcast that's been going on for years, it was obvious to everybody. Like, hey, where are your co-hosts at, man? And it's been a topic of debate, that people have been talking about for a while. And this is the first episode now in the past month where they're all back together again, and they're all just in the middle of talking about it. And honestly, how far into this video am I? It's a 3-hour podcast. I'm 40 minutes into it currently. Joe Budden podcast episode. What episode is it? Just so if anybody knows or cares. Episode 435. So episode 435. And yeah, they're just they're talking about whatever happened. And honestly, the way I feel about it is I don't know where this is going. I don't know if they're patching it up. I don't know if they're like gonna leave this in and move forward with what they're doing. I don't know if it's like they're ending it for good. Like it sounds like a little back and forth where I'm like, shit. Like, it's easy to sit there and think like, oh, well, because they're talking about it, it's got to be all good. And I'm like, I don't know if it's all good. Like they're talking about the problems, and it doesn't seem like they've really said like, any mending has been had. If that, you know what I mean? So I'm still just listening, man. I'm all ears right now, and that's what I'm gonna be doing once I'm done like catching it up, and I just hit play, and then you guys can listen and see what I'm saying. But basically, obviously, there's 435 episodes, so these guys have been doing this podcast for years, and it's been the three co-hosts with the engineer making a fourth. The guy who engineers all the audio and everything like that, he's a part of it as well. And yeah, man. So when the day came where like two of them just didn't show up, yeah, it was a bit alarming. For everyone. And um, since I'm 40 minutes in, I just want to get to where the conversation is right now. Like I said, it doesn't seem like I still don't know where it's going. What happened is Joe Budden, the main host, the one that the show's named after, he's allowed the other two guys to talk, and they've said their piece with the situation and how they felt about it, and whatever happened. And now uh, Joe is talking. He had just started talking the last few minutes, and he's talking about him being the controversial rapper that he is talking about how he's had, beef with other rappers, and then how he mended those beefs. And one of the rappers that he had beef with was Jay-Z. Probably heard of him. And yeah, man, he's talking about right now what Jay-Z said to him when the beef between them got mended. And again, this is why I'm like, I don't know where this is going because it doesn't seem like it's going well. It's great that these guys are talking about it, but man, I would hate for this podcast to end, uh, which it could potentially do with everything going on. And yeah, him talking about this story, basically, I mean, what I just paused on and where they're at right now is literally what Jay-Z said to Joe Budden when Joe Budden went to him to try to like mend things and say, when they actually did, fix their beef or whatever the problem was, like when they actually did fix it all. Um, Joe's just talking about what Jay-Z said to him. It doesn't seem to be the most cool thing to say to somebody when you're trying to like piece things up. So it's just like, ooh, where's he going with this? You know? And basically what he's saying Jay-Z said to him was, so what? Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like if you go to somebody, you're like, hey man, I'm glad we can piece things together. I'm sorry or I apologize for anything and everything that I've done. Like you're doing one of those things. And for the person to be like, yeah, so what? Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's all good. Like, so what? like being very dismissive of it. And hey, man, maybe that's just what it needed is just to be dismissed and move forward. So, for him to allow them to speak and for them to talk, and then for him to come in and start talking about his Jay-Z story, and for the punctuation of that story to be so what? I hope he's not about to tell them like, hey, everything that y'all just said, like, so what? But I don't know. Let's see. You got another what? 2 hours on this?
Give me more. Completely disagree. Give it to me. You didn't build anything with it. Y'all weren't friends. They're not friends. Your chemistry and actual friendship didn't base on the ability for you, Jay, and Def Jam to put out music. It was. Jay owe you nothing. Us the three of us all owe each other something because we're friends. What do you think I owe y'all? As friends, I think back to the respect thing and the understanding thing and the entitlement thing. What do you think I owe you, Lord? I'm not talking anything outside of friendship, and that comes down to respect. What do you owe someone? Respect and communication amongst each other. I owe that to strangers in the street. Different level of it. Not really. Yeah, it is. Not to me. Okay, that's you. Respect. Yes, no, I respect people in the street as I go about. That's how I carry myself. The same level of respect. That is how I carry myself. Yes. That's not what I asked you. I said you owe them that. A stranger. Do you owe a stranger respect? I freely give it. Do you owe a stranger respect? No. Okay, so you can't say that both of my friends. But you don't. You owe friends respect. I don't believe that. Yes, you do. You don't believe in showing your friends respect. I don't believe that. also why I apologized once we started talking about all our tension and took some accountability of how I was moving with certain things. I explained where they came from, but I took accountability and saying, no, I do owe you that respect where I should not sit here and say that to my friend. I should have went to my friend and said, hey, not feeling what's going on here.
I don't want to get caught up in semantics, but even as y'all speak, the word "old" bothers me.
That's cool.
I don't have a friendship where I feel like I am in debt, which is kind of to my next point that I shared with you gentlemen
Well,
in private, but we'll share it here.
Complete saying.
Everyone internalizes things differently. So even when you talk about respect, that would have to be processed through everyone's individual processor, right?
Sure.
So you could be receiving respect and feel like you're not,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah. How people perceive things and how they internalize things and, different experiences in your life can have you.
And the lines can be blurred
Sure.
in friendship and business, yes?
And people value things differently than their friends do.
I take offense to Maul saying show should stop. Every time he say it, I'm a find issue.
What?
With him saying the show should stop.
What? Explain.
Well, I dedicate my entire life to this. End statement. This is not something where I come in here twice a week and talk for a few hours.